School is almost out, the energy is through the roof, and we are officially hitting the home stretch. Today, we are breaking down our favorite end of the year activities, games, and events to wrap up the year with a bang. Let's dive in.
Hey Nicole, I'm loving our new look with these headphones. I'm feeling a little bit like an air traffic controller. How about you?
I was a little bit skeptical. I'm like, okay, really? Why are we doing this? Everything's been working so well. But then we always like to do things a little bit different and better every time. And we thought, let's improve the quality just a little bit. So instead, we now look like we drive spaceships. We purchased these giant over the ear headphones to improve our sound quality, but I'm going to have to get used to it.
Me too. Let's face it, it's typically me that's having the sound trouble, and now we are forced to wear these to control the bleed. When I was thinking about today, it's our 12th episode that we're recording today, and it made me think on the 12th day of recording, our true love gave to me headphones for our next podcast. Don't record that. Don't air that.
No promises. So
All
today
right.
we are going to talk about end of the year. It's June. It's crazy that it is June. End of the year is always, a mixer of emotions. We've talked about so many different things. Every teacher has their favorite games, their favorite activities, their favorite events that they want to do, and also a different way of doing end of the year, right? It's not the same in every classroom. And I personally have never done my end of the year ever the same. It always depends on the kids in my classroom, the families that I have, the environment that I'm working within. What about you? Do you have the same way every year that you do end of the year, or do you do it differently?
I feel like you're reading my script today. I am the same way. I have never done it the same way twice, I do not think. Sometimes we will do a countdown, but it completely depends on the group of my kids, what I think they can handle. I think it's probably the same for you, Nicole, each year that sometimes summer holidays are not what a few kids are looking forward to. They thrive on coming to school, the structure, the routine, school's a safe place. And so sometimes they're not looking forward to that change. It's a bit unpredictable. And I think they know what they're expecting every day when they come to school. Sometimes we've just had a surprise or a fun activity planned without associating it with a number. Whereas other times we've had balloons that we've popped or bags that we pull out of or something virtual that unveils the surprise. What are some of the things that you have done to kind of integrate those surprises into those last few days of school?
Yeah, I love how you said the surprise because I have done countdowns before. Don't get me wrong, 10 days left or whatnot. Or I do a count up. Like at the beginning of the year, we always count the days of school, anyways. And so you can kind of do the reverse of that. I know countdowns don't work for everybody. It makes some kids anxious. They don't really quite love that end of the year. I know that you just got to note the context of your kids, right? Some years you can do a really huge countdown. Some years it's more maybe subtle. I always put usually though my surprise within my schedule. So I will put it in the schedule for the next day so the kids know when it's coming. Sometimes it's in the morning, sometimes it's in the afternoon. And what I mean by that is I try to keep things very routine pretty much until the last day of school. Because we know as teachers, as soon as you take that routine away, kind of the wheels do fall off, if you will say. So I try to do within that end of the year activities, I put a surprise in a day instead of getting rid of all of the daily routines. And so they kids know when it's coming, they just don't know what it is. Sometimes I'll tell them the day before if I have to plan and prep and go and grab supplies, but normally they just see it in the schedule, so they know that it's coming sometime throughout that day, but we are still having our math, our literacy, our socials, our science to try to keep things as routine as possible.
I'm definitely feeling that already at school, that need more than ever to have that structure for the kids. So I'm exactly the same way. We are still moving along with all of our core subjects. Currently, we have inline skating running in our school, which is a whole new level of excitement. We have eggs that we're hatching. We'll have chicks in a couple of weeks in our school. The energy and the excitement, kids leaving early for holidays, it's next level. So I really believe that we need to end the year strong. Every year, I have the students tell me what they want to do. And so it could be something that we've done already in the school year that they want to repeat, or something we haven't done. For example, a picnic outside. So taking our lunch and having a picnic on the front lawn, something we haven't done yet. And so we make that list together. And then I always tell them I'm going to curate that list for what's actually reasonable within the budget. Obviously, I'm not booking a school bus to go somewhere. And then we use that as our motivation to finish the year strong. As a teacher, I don't love to go into the summer holidays feeling like I've had 10 days of crazy. That doesn't feel good for anyone. I feel like if it doesn't feel good for us, chances are it's not feeling good for some of those students. So I think that structure and routine while infusing those really fun activities is key.
Yes, so we're going to break down maybe what some of those activities look like. And I'm going to share some of my absolute favorites that I do. And like you said, it doesn't cost a lot of money, right? Some of the activities that I do, actually, most of the activities I guess I would do at the end of the year don't really cost a lot of money, but they're all about connection and all about spending time really together. One of my favorite things to do is I do some type of day. So I have done a Flora's Lava day and I have done a glow day. So our Flora's Lava day was cool. Basically, we moved their desks around. We put little removable circles and squares on the floor. So the whole day when you move throughout the classroom, the whole day you had to move like the floor is lava. We also painted these lava pictures where students had to build a story about how they were going to get across their lava. So again, I infused writing still. We had art that day and we had some of the Danny Go Floor is Lava on in the background. It just was this really cool day where we got to move our bodies in different ways and the kids absolutely loved it. By the end of the day, I was like, maybe I should have done this for a half day because it was a lot. But I really loved that. And then our glow day. So we asked students to wear bright colors to school. My partner teacher and I made these glow bottles where we put fluorescent type of glow sticks really into the bottles, turned out the lights. They had those on their desks throughout the day. We made glow in the dark slime. Everything was kind of around the idea of glowing. And again, we connected our writing to that. We connected some math to that. And so these kind of theme days, if you will, they loved that. They ate that up. So when I had a sibling come the following year of a child I had taught, they were like, when is our glow day going to be? So they do talk about it with their families, obviously. Like it's one of my favorite things, but just two different ideas, like having almost like a day that you just transform your classroom and your day through that lens.
I love that. The kids must look forward to that every year. I've never done, I don't think, an entire day, just an afternoon where we would tie it into like a Disney theme and they go on a Disney virtual field trip as part of it. And then they have their writing and their math, etc., paired into that. Or different themes we've done is like traveling the world or a New York City day or a Western day, different things that take them to different countries or places around the world that they maybe haven't experienced, but then incorporating the theme throughout the day has been super fun. But I might have to steal your floor is lava afternoon. I think I could handle an afternoon.
Yeah, I recommend don't do a whole day. That was a bit much. I also love sidewalk chalk. That is a simple thing. You throw in a bucket of sidewalk chalk and you have the students create images. I even have, because some kids don't know what to draw, right? That does happen, right? You're not really sure what to put on there. So I do also have a little bucket that I take out with me that has like little prompts in it. So it might have prompts of like an animal, or it might have prompts of like draw a rainbow or balloons, or just something for them to get ideas going if they can't on their own. But I love that sidewalk chalk. It's a time of connection. You can see your whole class kind of sitting on the tarmac or on the sidewalk, depending on what your school looks like, and just chatting and talking and enjoying the sidewalk chalk.
I love to watch all their creativity come to life out there with a new canvas. I really feel like it's the simple things that bring them the most joy. One of the things I like to do, Nicole, I try to do each one of these at the end of the year. They're all writing activities, but I feel like they have an audience and they have a purpose, and so to them it doesn't seem like a chore. But I always have them write a letter to the next year's students to give the students an idea of what it's like to be in grade 2. Their letters are quite adorable because when I read them, I realize what they truly love about our days. And there are some funny bits, right? Like they'll add in what Mrs. Delow always says, or what Mrs. Delow doesn't like, or what Mrs. Delow appreciates, things like that. And I also like to have them write a letter to their next year's teacher so that they can introduce themselves and tell them a bit about themselves. I think it helps settle their nerves about who they're going to have next year and where they're going to be, even if they don't know yet. They've already written a letter to tell someone about themselves. And then I often have them write a letter back to me and I write a letter to them. And they're short, but they're powerful and I think it helps them think about the transition to the upcoming year.
And it keeps it connected to something they're doing to the, you know, keep them within their routine within that writing block throughout the day. Speaking of letters, I haven't done this in a while, but I used to when I taught grade 1 at a school I was at many years ago. We used to get the grade 1s to write time capsule letters to themselves in grade 6. So they stayed at that school all the way until grade 6. If they left that school, they got to take their little time capsule with them. And so they always wrote a letter. They always got to put some kind of art piece they had done in grade 1 within it. And then if they had a project from that year or something they had done, we created pictures as well. So we printed pictures and we put them in the time capsule. So then when they got to grade 6, they had these time capsules. Of course, they probably thought it was like dug buried in treasure land in the field or something like that. But no, they just sat in this storage room in the school. But it was a school tradition. And so when I came to that school, it was already in place. And I really loved that idea of solidifying that. So all those grade 6 students knew every year that last week of school, they got to open their time capsules. And then, oh, and that's another thing too, is that the grade 6 students that had left that year, like when they were in grade 1, had left something for them to read. So it was perspective from a grade 6 going into junior high. So that was really, really cool. So I love the idea of writing and letters back and forth. That's a cool way of doing it.
I love that time capsule idea. Our grade doesn't do it, but I know other grades have. And I, as a student, wrote a letter to my grade 12 self. I'm not sure what grade I was in when I wrote it. I know I still have it, but it was awesome to read. And we put it together a capsule, and I thought that was pretty powerful. I was going to say something I've done in the past is have a student a day. So, depending on how many kids we have in the class, I'll count back that number of days. And each day we unveil a student for that day. And so that student gets to be the line leader, gets to have buddy lunch with a friend. We make a poster for that student where we write kind adjectives or compliments, and then they get to build their own poster and take it home. And so that's always a fun way to celebrate each student at the end of the year as well.
That's a cool. I love that. You mentioned picnic at the beginning of the episode for that you like to go outside for like eat their lunch for a picnic. I've also done it where I've invited families before. So where you have an afternoon, to that last kind of week or two of school. And if there's a park nearby that you can go into walking distance within the school that you're at, that's what I've done before. So I've invited families or loved ones from that child's family if their parents can't come. And we go on a picnic, or we have done it without families before as well. But I also love to try to go off site for a bit of a picnic. It's something a little bit different. So within the context of your school, if you have access to, a local park or something where you can just go even on the other side of the fence, like there's something about leaving the school property that kids love. They can bring blankets or whatnot to sit on. I've always loved that kind of the year. Eating outside for kids for some reason, they just eat that up. Truly. They love to go outside with their snacks or their lunch.
They do, and they also love to read outside. They love to take their books and a blanket and just lie under the trees or lie in the sun and read, and I just love that because again, it's just the simple things. What about the famous yes day, Nicole? Have you ever ran one of those?
I've run a yes day many times, not usually the end of the year. I don't know why. I just have done it earlier in the year. But yeah, I love a good yes day. Again, it's those parameters, right? So it's like has to be cost effective. It has to be at school. It has to be safe. But it is crazy what they choose. They'll choose like this math game we always do. And I'm like, I thought you guys were tired of that. But no, they want to do that for math game, or they want to have a backwards day. Like that's been kind of one of our yes days before we started. Like we just swapped a script for the day basically and then went backwards through our schedule. When they choose yes days, yes, of course they, want rainbows and unicorns too, but they also do choose the simple things in a school day. But I love doing a yes day, and I love making the connection to that story too.
Yeah, we do too, and it is so much fun, but I also have the same parameters put in place because they will take it to the next level. And so we always talk about how it has to be budget friendly, safe, all the things that you just listed. One year they wanted to go on a flight somewhere. I cannot remember where they were wanting to go, but I just stared at them like this is unrealistic. And then we did all the math. We went on WestJet. We looked up the flight costs. We multiplied that by the number of students. We ended up writing a letter to our principal to try to ask for the funding to go. It was like $22,000 or something. And so it ended up being this whole big thing. She wrote us a letter back. She came and spoke to us. We kept upping the ante to see if we could go. At one point, they wanted me to sell my car so that I could afford the flights. Like, it was just a lot of fun. And they knew that it was just for fun. But I was like, let's actually do the math on this
Yeah,
one.
let's break this down.
My kids on their list this year have STEM activities. They love just to have different challenges, building challenges, different tasks that they need to accomplish. They would literally do that all day, every day, if we could. And they love to build and construct out of paper. They love Scotch tape, as you know, glue, everything. And so that's a big ask for them this year.
I love all these ideas. I'm thinking about, I'm not in a classroom right now. I'm in an intervention role, so I don't get to do these things technically this year as my own classroom teacher, but I will be going into other classrooms to get new ideas in my new school environment to see what they're doing for end of the year. So I know that, for example, our grade six has just got back from grade six camp. So that's a tradition at that school is they get to go on an overnight camping trip and sleep in cabins and all the things with their teachers and parent volunteers. So they came back very excited but tired yesterday from their grade six camp. So I can't wait to hear about that with all my groups next week. One of the things that I love to do, it's super simple, is a signature t-shirt. I've not done it for a whole class before. I know you can do that where kids bring in a shirt that other kids can decorate and then they wear that shirt the next day at school. I've done it as a teacher, so where I've brought in a white t-shirt, kids get to decorate it, and then I wear it to school the next day. And there is something about that when they see their creation on your t-shirt or their name or something. And I will try to wear it. I'll do it earlier on in like June, and then I'll try to wear it at least one more time. And they just eat it up when they see their little creations on your shirt. So it's super small. It's easy. They can't get enough.
That just warms my heart because we just ordered class sets of hats, white ball caps for the kids to decorate. And so we will decorate them on the morning of our summer active day, where we're outside for the whole afternoon, going from station to station as organized by our phys ed specialists. And so all of the grade twos will be easily recognizable by their Sharpie decorated white hats, but we're really looking forward to them doing that. There was a student who just decorated bucket hats at her birthday party, and I've seen a few of them at school this week, and they're super cute and meaningful, memorable for them.
Okay, you mentioned something the other day, and I was like, I don't know what she's talking about, but maybe she thinks I know what she's talking about. So you do something with shaving cream
Oh,
on your desks. Can you tell me about that?
oh my gosh. Okay, so we were making our list of what they wanted to do at the end of the year, and we were getting to the end of their list. I was typing it out on the view board as they were talking. And then I said, okay, and we'll add shaving cream to desks, right? And they all stared at me like, what was I talking about? And I said, we haven't done shaving cream on desks yet. I couldn't believe it because usually we do it at some point. So I just go around to each desk and put a little pump of shaving cream, and they get to draw and paint their desks and muck and squish it in their hands. And you would not believe the like shrieks of delight. And so I always do that with them, but they have never, I can't believe they haven't done it yet, like in kindergarten or grade one. But you do have to be ready for a lot of volume. And it's not mess because you just clean it up with paper towel and then you use wipes to clean that off after, and you're good to go. And they actually clean your desks a little bit. So it's pretty fun.
Do you buy like scented shaving cream? Does it smell like a shower house in there?
Well, it's funny because I do buy unscented to be sensitive to everybody's allergies and whatnot, but it still does have like a pretty clean scent. The room does still smell pretty good after that. Have you ever done it? It's so fun.
I actually have never done it. I have made slime lots in my class or
Oh, yeah.
it's, but I have not done shaving cream on desks. I have done where I give them a free reign of whiteboard markers on their desks.
Oh,
Like I don't
fun.
I love to write on my teacher desk with whiteboard marker and then erase it, a little like mini lesson of something. But I never let them do it because it can get carried away. So I do block in the end of the year where I give them like free reign of whiteboard markers on to write on their desks,
Hmm.
of course, and
Hmm.
then clean them off. So
Do you know I've never let kids do that? I've had them do like a mural on the whiteboard. So on the last morning of school, they will fill up like every square inch of that whiteboard with marker, but I've never thought about letting them do it on their desks, even though I do it on my table all the time. So I'm going to add that to mine.
Except for that one time when a kid grabbed a Sharpie and I didn't
Oh,
notice. That didn't go well. However, do you know what can get Sharpie off desks really well?
whiteboard marker.
Whiteboard markers and nail polish. If it's real bad, nail polish.
Hmm. Yes, our custodian has this magic stinkiest spray, which you do not want to do first thing in the morning, but sometimes those Sharpie incidents happen, don't they?
One of the things that I also love to do is a nature scavenger hunt. So I had gotten this idea actually from Mrs. Max Kinder's, and it's where you have a board or a clipboard, I guess, and you put elastic bands around it. Students can have a list of things they want them to collect, and then they can put it on their clipboard through these elastic bands. And at the end, they have these beautiful clipboards with different things from nature. Of course, there's lots of rules around that about not grabbing things off trees, not picking things out of the ground that are still growing. But it's usually things like a leaf or a rock or a pine cone or something like that. And they really love building those boards. So then we take a picture of it, put it in their scrapbook, and then that goes home with them at the end of the year. But that nature scavenger hunt I do throughout the year, but it's always a little fun end of the year activity as well.
I love the addition of the elastic bands because we did do a nature scavenger hunt with our buddy class, but they didn't collect. They were just looking for things. And that was a great idea that came from one of our team teachers. But then for St. Patrick's Day, we did another scavenger hunt where they had to find items that were green and it wasn't spring weather. The grass wasn't green, the trees weren't blooming at this point in time. And so they had to find different items that they could find that were green and and then we gave little prizes away and it was just such a fun activity. I would definitely incorporate more of those throughout the school year.
We could go on and on. One of the things that I haven't done, but I would love to do is a class playlist. So we have favorite songs throughout the year that we listen to all the time as a class, mostly, brain break type activities to get our bodies moving. But I've seen a teacher do this before. So every child had to send in their favorite song or an appropriate, of course, school song. And so it was like usually sent to parents, like the email, and the parents could like help them choose a song. They sent it in, and then that teacher created a class playlist. And this is back in the day. I know it was a while ago where every student got a CD to take home and it had
Yeah.
their class playlist on it. Obviously, now you would create a playlist and then you would share that playlist with on Apple or Spotify or something. But I just loved that, or even in general throughout the year. That's one thing I'm going to do when I get back into a classroom is kind of create a list of like our favorite classroom songs or of students' favorite songs. So if it's work time or if we're outside or if it's an art block, then we can put on the appropriate playlist within the classroom. And then when you hear your song come on, there's something about that, again, making that connection where kids are like, that's my song, I chose that song. And I've done a staff playlist before, and I loved when my song came on. I loved when my song came on. So I think that that's something I would love to do. I've seen it in a class, and I know that kids loved it.
I love that idea too. I only successfully did a class playlist 1 year. The the hard part for me was I felt like I needed to listen to every single song before I was able to play it for all of the students. And so I did that and the kids loved it, but I would definitely recommend starting it earlier in the year so you can play them more frequently so you get that joyful feeling when your song comes on. I read this great idea, Nicole, about gathering songs for a summer playlist for staff. So, on those last couple of days when we're packing up and cleaning and taking down our entire classroom, that people have a playlist that we could play for a while over the PA, or people could just play it in their own rooms if they like to listen to music, and everybody would know who had suggested each song. I think that's such a fun way to end the year.
Yeah, and also to build community. I do love that idea of actually maybe doing it earlier in the year now that you've said that. Then throughout the year, kids can just kind of see themselves within that playlist and see each other. Like I said, I
Mm.
loved the staff one too because I knew the reason behind why lots of those teachers chose those songs. And it was just, yeah, I think I'm going to do a playlist no matter what. We're going to figure out how to do that next year in whatever role
I
I'm in.
When the students come in the morning, sometimes I'll play, instrumental music, right? It just helps create that calm environment when they're entering, and if you could have the instrumental version of the kids' songs too, right? They could be walking in and, "Is it my song today?" or "Whose song is it?" Or even quietly while they're working, those instrumental versions I think are fantastic.
Another thing I do at the end of the year is a wear what you want day. And hey, kids can wear what they want every day. I don't care. Wear your Superman costume, wear your princess dress. Like, that's not a big deal. But I send home an email to parents and it explains like, this is like a free reign. Let your child dress themselves. If they have a favorite costume, if they want to wear their hockey gear, like I really don't care. So I just love what kids come to school with. It's so creative. It's truly, and I honestly do feel, and maybe some parents have helped, but it's what the child chose because it is hilarious sometimes what some of the kids will choose, or they'll wear their pajamas or their giant, huge slippers or one of their favorite hats. It doesn't really matter, or just what they feel comfortable in. Right? I remember a couple of years ago there was a child and wore their sweatsuit to school. It was like just like a sweatsuit. And another child said, "It's wear what you want day." And this child said, "I love to be comfy, and my mom makes me wear jeans every day." And I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? This child always wears jeans every single day. And today they wore a sweatsuit. That was their jam, man. They were comfortable. They were excited to wear it. So it can be really whatever you want it. My partner teacher wore her wedding dress.
My goodness.
I loved it. She wore her wedding dress. How cool is that? When do you ever get to wear that again?
I love that. Was she wearing it because she loved it, or was she wearing it because she thought, "When am I ever wearing this again? This is a good opportunity to wear it
Well,
again."
I'm also thinking that she probably wore it because she hadn't cleaned it. I don't know. I cleaned mine. It cost me a couple $100, so I certainly wasn't pulling that thing out of the closet.
That's awesome. My kids want to wear pajamas all the time. So if there's an opportunity for a dress up day, they want to wear pajamas. They have requested pajamas, they've requested stuffies, they want to watch a movie, they want popcorn, and a special request of lemonade on the last day of school. I don't know about you, but I don't have the best of luck playing a 90-minute to 2-hour movie for kids. I feel like it is completely lost on them most of the time. We're better off, I feel like, to watch half an hour each day over the course of a couple of days or break it up throughout the day. The kids need to move, they want to talk. Some kids don't want kids to talk. I just feel like it's too much sitting for them at one time typically. But I know movies, stuffies, PJs, popcorn are always big wish list items for them.
Maybe this is a very unpopular opinion. I hate showing movies at school. I hate it. It's never good. No one sits for more than 0.2 seconds without talking.
I
Then you're
know.
shushing them the whole time. Then someone's like across the room doesn't want to watch that movie. And then I don't know. I personally hate doing movies in the class. I don't usually do
I
it because I just don't love it.
I do not love it either. I do not understand. We try to practice movie theater mode. Like, even if we're watching a small science clip, we try to talk about movie theater mode and etiquette in a movie theater. And not everybody wants to hear every single thought that's going through your head. And I don't love it because then kids are disgruntled with each other because someone's talking or moving or smacking their lips whatever. So I don't love it. I remember a colleague of mine who teaches high school. He came in one day and he was like, Why do elementary kids talk throughout the entire show?" And I'm like, "Do they not do this in high school?" No, they don't. I'm sure some do though, don't you think?
I would assume. For me too, that a family movie night at a school, no, why are we doing that still? It is pure chaos. There is not one family that is sitting there quietly watching the movie on that screen. Or if they are, they're annoyed with everyone else around them. I can't I when I have to supervise a family movie night, I would rather not. Let's just say that. It's like the least favorite thing to do. But
I
yeah, no more
agree.
movies in classrooms.
Yeah, I agree. It's just not fun. My kids like to choose where they're going to sit. So sometimes at the beginning of June, we'll make different decisions about how they're sitting. So whether they're sitting with a partner or in a U shape or I don't know, in groups of 6, in pods, whatever, their best friend, they like to choose. And so I really try to give them that opportunity. They get that opportunity lots throughout the year, but I really try to just lower my shoulders and take lots of deep breaths and put up with a little bit of extra talking as we go throughout the year. So free choice seating is a big wish as well.
And then one of the things I do on my very last day of school or the very last 2 or 3 days of school is I love to sit around in a circle and I share something super special about that child for that child in front of everybody else. Throughout the year, and I used to keep track of things throughout the year that I wanted to talk about at the end of the year, but now I just naturally just do it, right? You can go around and I can say like a very specific thing about every child, and it doesn't have to take long, but it is one of those things where I do believe the kids enjoy it because it is just something about them. Everybody gets a turn and everybody gets a really special moment with their teacher. So I love doing that at the end of the school year. Again, that's something the teacher has done for me in the past, and it still makes me feel great today when I think about those compliments. And so it's something I do for that child. I try really hard to have it written down somewhere where I can put it into their scrapbook that goes home. So it can just be a sentence or two or whatnot, but it's meant individually for that child.
I tried to give each student 2 different awards, so kind of a fun one that all the students know about that student, right? Where I recognize them for some joyful way that they've contributed to the classroom. And then a more serious one, maybe related to them as a writer or a reader or their scientific mind or if they're a computer whiz or something like that, but sort of 2 rather than just kind of one so that I'm not pigeonholing them into, believing one thing about themselves. They're so easy to come up with, I find. And then I'll typically address them. We'll sit in a circle and give shout outs to the kids.
And then I know that end of the year for everybody they have different memories, right, from childhood. So I asked my own children what their favorite memories were from end of the year. And it's funny because it was nothing big, it was nothing crazy, it was nothing, that cost too much money. And so my daughter's, hers was that the teacher brought in popsicles. It was a popsicle party. They didn't know it was coming, and all of a sudden these popsicles showed up. And she's like, I just remember sitting around in the classroom, and we were allowed to sit on the top of their desks. That's another thing she said.
Oh,
We were allowed to sit
yeah.
on the top of our desks and eat these popsicles, and that was the memory. I said, "That's it. That was your favorite memory." She's like, "I don't know if it's my like at the time on my favorite, but right now when I think back, it's the first thing I think about was eating popsicles on the top of a desk."
That's so great. I forgot about popsicles. How did I forget about popsicles? Our freezer at school is usually jam-packed with popsicles for every grade level, so I'll have to make sure I have that on my list. My kids didn't ask for that this year. I also asked my own children what they had as memories. My one son said that they got to chew watermelon Hubba Bubba. That was a big deal. He remembers the flavor. He remembers that his teacher taught them how to blow bubbles, and that was a big deal. I think he was in grade 1. And then he said that one year they got to write with whatever tool they wanted to all day. So if they wanted to write with red marker or purple crayon, whatever they chose for the day was their writing tool. And he thought that was really awesome as well. I didn't actually ask all of my kids, but I know one of them would say where they get to be outside all day. So sports day all day. Probably 2 of them would say that all day, every day, being outside. And then Slurpee runs for the big kids. I think most of them have gone for a Slurpee run, and I always get all of the details of that Slurpee run. The walk to, who bought a loaf of bread instead of a Slurpee, the walk back, all the all the things that happen in that short period of time.
And then when I asked my son, his was sports day. Of course, like
Oh,
just like
yeah.
what you were saying, right? It was like, Mom, I loved sports day at the end of the year or activity day or whatever you call it at your school. So I know that's one thing that he loved. Another thing that I just wanted to bring up is that I forgot that I've done this before, and it all depends on, of course, the context of your environment. But I was lucky enough to have like a sand beach close to one of the schools that I had worked at. And this is like many, many, many years ago. People are going to probably think that no, me, it was the last school I was at, but it wasn't that school. And we walked down to the beach and built sandcastles. We didn't go in the water because that's a whole nother like field trip nightmare. But we just built sandcastles, and that was super. I loved that. Like, that was one of my favorite memories because we just had like this beach day, but not in the water. It was like we had a picnic, we built
Mm.
sandcastles, and that was a cool memory.
One of the things that I had thought about for we've done this in the past, I think it might have been during COVID, but for the teachers at the end of the year, we ended up having a picnic lunch out in the parking lot. So everybody brought their lawn chairs. We had food. We must have brought our own food if it was COVID, but we basically dry tailgated in the staff parking lot after school. And it was just a fun way to end the school year before everybody went on their way. And so I thought that might be something we could bring back because it's nice to connect before we say goodbye for 6 or 7 weeks.
Speaking of, just not that we want to go back to too many memories of COVID, but there was some things that we made really cool happen in schools. And when schools were shut down, right? We didn't have kids in school for those, 2.5 months. We did a parade where what happened was all the teachers made signs, and then we went outside and we lined like the streets around the school, and then we gave parents a time they could come. It was, I don't know, half an hour window or something. We brought lawn chairs, we sat out there, we had signs, balloons, all the things, and then more families than we thought came. And it was these families just driving by with their windows down, waving to their teachers, and I'll never forget that. I thought it was such a unique way to still have a connection with your community and wish them well off into the summer, even though you didn't get to physically see them. But I loved that.
Mhm. That brings tears to my eyes. We didn't have a parade where the families came to us, but at the end of that year, our team and a few other teams delivered our end of year gifts door to door. And so we would go to the house, ring the doorbell, leave the gift on their step and then run on down to the driveway and hope that they would answer. And then the kids would come to the door. Oh my goodness, it was such an emotional time and such a great way to connect with them from a distance. I think it took about 8 hours to deliver every single gift, but it was one of the best days and the highlights during that time. And then another thing we did as a staff is when we had teachers on staff celebrating a birthday or the arrival of a new baby, we would meet in a parking lot and then we would all parade by that person's house and honk horns and leave gifts. And I remember our one teacher's reaction. She just could not even believe that we had all come out that afternoon to celebrate her. It was so special.
Yes, the things that we do to keep community even when we can't. So, as we
Mhm.
wrap up this episode, I know one of the things that you do with your students and that I do with mine that will actually lead really well into the next episode is a summer bucket list. That's one of the things that I love to do with my kids. I like to ask them a list of things that they want to do in the summer that are realistic, and then I actually have them do some creative writing, and I have them create my perfect summer story. That can be, it can be going, like you said, it can be wild. It can be going to Disneyland. It could be taking a trip. It can be building a house that has like a trampoline room in it. But they love both of those. They love the realistic list, and then they love the story that they get to write about the perfect summer. And then what I
Mhm.
also do is I send home to families a blank copy of this really cute little summer bucket list, and then they can create a summer bucket list with their families at home that if they choose so, they can put it on their fridge or just have a nice conversation over dinner or something like that. So I love some type of summer bucket list.
I love that idea of the realistic list versus the what I'm wishing and hoping will happen. I think that's a great opportunity for kids to express, what their hopes and dreams for the summer. I just wanted to add this before we wrap this up that I think I was telling you the other day about how my kids coming into grade 2 having choice time. And I love that. So when they are an early finisher or, they have a few little minutes in a pocket in the day, they get to do something of their choice. And the teachers have set up the parameters for what that can look like. And because of Mrs. Max Kinder's, Lori McIntosh, I changed it to win time. And we phrased it as that, what I need, because the kids do have different needs for what they want to use that time for. I think I was telling you we did this win time and it was chaotic for me. It was just the change in language, and they just took it to a next level. And so we talked as a classroom community about how what I need time is also what the teacher needs. And so what I need is for them, to be creative and to be curious and to work on whatever they're working on, but that it needs to be respectful and at an appropriate volume, and that it needs to be what the teacher needs too. As a community, it needs to work for all of us. And I think
Mhm.
that's really important going into this. Well, we're already in it, but this season, and that teachers need to do what they need to do for them as well. Like, I'm a really strong believer that we don't need to go into the school as burnt out as we have sometimes, right? That we also need to look after our needs too when we're planning all of these fun and exciting activities.
Like you said it before, and we've kind of talked about, it is truly the small things that students will remember and that students will like. So do the things you love, right? Spark
Hmm.
joy for yourself at the end of the school year as you wrap up, because it is a crazy busy time, as we know, with report cards and IPPs and parent meetings and class lists and the list, moving classrooms, right? Moving schools, maybe for some of you, the list goes on at the end of the school year. So yeah, bring in what you want to do as well, because the memories for you are just as important as the memories that you create for kids.
And to our listeners, obviously, we have missed ideas. We could be on here for hours talking about all of them. We have pages of ideas we've done in the past and new ideas that we haven't even thought about. So if you have any ideas that you would love to share, we would love to have them and to hear about them and share them out on our social media.
Absolutely. The bigger the list, the better, right? Lots to choose from. Variety is the spice of life, as they say. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today.
Thanks, everyone.
Wait, is that the bell? The buses are rolling and we've got duty.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Teachers Next Door podcast. If you enjoyed this week's PD session, do us a solid. Leave a rating, 5 stars preferably, and a review. Think of it as giving us an A+ on our eval. It helps other listeners find their way to our neighborhood. As the kids say, please subscribe.
Do you have a burning question or topic you would like to hear about? Send us an email or message. Be sure to follow us on Instagram for show updates and details on future episodes.
This podcast was produced and edited by us, your teachers next door. No outsourcing here. The reality of all teachers. We do it all.
If nobody else has told you today, just remember, you are doing a great job. Catch you next time.
And we should mention, the ideas we share on this podcast are totally our own.